The Nintendo Switch has had an amazing 2017, from it launching to it skyrocketing in sales with amazing games like Breath of the Wild, Splatoon 2, ARMS, and Super Mario Odyssey. Everything is pointing towards the fact that the Switch will have a monster 2018 year, but it is possible for the Switch to kind of fail. Now, I do not think that will happen, and I do not want that to happen, but as I said, it is possible. So here are 3 ways that the Switch could actually have a pretty bad 2018. Now, before we get on started, I'm just letting you guys know I do not think or want this to happen, and I am even making a video on why the Switch will have a great 2018. Obviously, with a name like SwitchTop, I'm a huge fan of the console and Nintendo in general, so I'm not like being a hater or anything. I'm just pointing out the facts that it could possibly have a bad 2018. Anyway, without any further ado, let's get into it. So my first point is third-party support, and you guys might be a bit confused at this point because one of the highlights of the Switch's 2017 year was the amount of sheer third-party support. We saw everything from Skyrim to Doom and everything in between. However, now that the developers have ported some games over to the Switch and the initial Switch fever has kind of died down, they might see that this console, while it does have a pretty large install base, you can't deny that the console itself is underpowered. And as we get into the swing of things with actual 4K gaming such as the PS4 Pro and Xbox One X, developers will have a choice to make. Do you want to make games for the Switch or not? No third-party developer is abandoning the PS4 and Xbox One X. So the developers are either going to port their games over to Switch, facing significant downgrades and things that will be technically challenging to say the least. Getting those 4K games to run on the Switch, obviously they wouldn't be 4K, but still, those games are huge. They would be quite hard to get on the Switch. As we've seen from Panic Button trying to get Doom on the Switch, that was from 2016, and it was still really challenging, and it can only run at 720/30. So developers are either gonna continue making games for PlayStation 4 or Xbox One X and port those games over to the Switch, just make unique games for Switch, or just not support the Switch at all. And those are all pretty time-consuming options, so a lot of developers might just choose to not support the Switch at all, which sucks, but I mean, it could happen. Number 2 is the Switch Online. So as we know, there is an online service coming in 2018 from Nintendo, which requires a paid subscription for being able to play with online. So even though this has been a thing with Xbox Live for a while, and PlayStation even has a version of its own, when people saw that Nintendo were doing this, they kinda got really pissed. Because Nintendo doesn't really put microtransactions in their big games, and when they have paid DLC, it's worthy to be paid of. The DLC is just so good. So people kinda got pissed when they saw that you would have to pay for online. Now, granted, people love the Switch, so I don't see it being that big of a deal, but it could be a huge one if they screw up the online, which is what they've already done. As you can see with the Splatoon 2 app, when that app launched, people hated it. Now granted, that was only a small sliver of what the app will do when the service comes out, they said, but I mean, if that app was any indication, people really hated it, and Nintendo's claiming they're going to make people pay for it in 2018. Also, I feel like many people who haven't had consoles besides Nintendo consoles in the past are going to be a bit shocked by having to pay online for the Switch. Like, I know I'm going to have to pay online for the Switch, so I doubt it'll be that much of a shock, but it's still going to feel terrible having to hand over money monthly just to be able to play my favorite games online. That hurdle of having to pay to play online, plus the fact that the online might not even be that good as Nintendo has shown in the past, might be a bit too much for some gamers, and that will kind of slow down the Switch a ton. My last and final reason is Nintendo has worn themselves out. Look at the past year. We have gotten so many amazing games. Not just from first party, but third party as well. What could be so great about 2018? There's no way they can top 2017. Not just top, how can they even come close? We know that Pokemon and Metroid Prime 4 are coming. They probably won't come both next year though. And even if they do, I would take an open 3D world Mario and an open 3D world Zelda over a console Pokemon and Metroid Prime 4 any day, and I'm pretty sure most people think that too. not to mention a ton of smaller games that probably won't get remembered in the long run, but are still amazing, like Splatoon 2 and ARMS. Did you guys see the Splatoon 2 content update recently? I mean, there is so much more content coming to that game, it's insane. Even the odd ones that people don't really play, like Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle, are so good that I just don't understand how the Switch could get a library that can even rival that in 2018. I feel like if Nintendo held Odyssey back maybe for a 2018 release, then that would have been semi-smart, because they would have had one big game this year and one big game next year. But now they have used two of the biggest games of probably the decade in the same year on the same console, which could spread themselves thin next year. Anyway, that's just what I think. Those are 3 reasons I think the Switch could fail in 2018. Now, I know this video is probably going to get a ton of dislikes, and I mean, my channel name is Switch Stop. I've had the Switch since launch. I love it. I've been a Nintendo fanboy my whole life, so anyone who says I'm blindly hating on the Switch is wrong. If you open your eyes and see the truth, it is a possibility for the Switch to fail. Do I think it'll happen? Probably not in a million years. But it is a possibility, and I just thought that there were some pretty solid reasons, so I'd bring it to you guys. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. For those of you who didn't immediately dislike the video because of the title, you guys are the best. I'll see you in the next video. I'm also making a why the Switch will do amazing in 2018. Anyway, thank you for watching. Peace out.